Welcome in. Today, we take a look at upper echelon headline culture is getting embarrassing. Video. Oh yeah, let's go.
Alright, today's video is a pretty big departure from normal, honestly, but I did a thing, that thing caused another thing, and the resulting absurdity of it all has become a perfect jumping off point to talk about the absolute clown world ridiculousness of headline culture, which seems to be the actual method by which most people browse the internet now. It never
I wouldn't say most people, but surely a lot of people who want to have an opinion on the internet.
used to be this way, at least not when I was growing up, but the modus operandi, so it seems, is to read something, reacting only to the headline with as much emotional outrage as you can possibly muster, and then try to use that headline as a method of advancing whatever cause it is you find personally appealing, without any further context or fact checking whatsoever. I should be more precise here. It's not just that there's a lack of fact checking, it's that there is a total lack of basic cognition, and we all know it's happening. We're all passively disappointed by it probably every single day.
Maybe it's cope, but I think this is just a small vocal minority, and there's enough moneyed interest that wants you to think that, oh, people are just like that, right? So, you know, they probably get signal boosted one way or another, right?
On some level or another. But for my part, I rarely have such an extreme example presented with such brilliant clarity, plastered across the internet for all to see that was kinda sorta my fault, or I was at least partially responsible for. Here's the story. Less than a week ago, I made a video. That video discussed the concept of video game publishers exploiting a current legal environment where game preservation laws don't really exist at all.
Oh, I meant to look at that vid. We'll get there sometime.
The resulting disappointment that is becoming more and more normalized, where they will delete or otherwise restrict access to video games that people have paid for. The video itself was inspired by Ross over at Accursed Farms, excellent creator, definitely go check him out, who has put in a tremendous amount of effort to find actual methods of fighting back against this, and it's centered on the idea that if people are willing to take action, we might be able to do something about this problem and spur governments to craft intervening legislation,
Sure.
thereby preventing games from being sold as a product and then discontinued forever as if they're a service.
See, the state is implicated, right? It's like, yeah, at some point you got to realize we live in a society, and there's all these people getting signal boosted who totally don't seem to have that awareness. Well, don't get it twisted. There are people who have that awareness, and they are working on those things, and maybe you should join them, but for your own purposes?
All in all, I was pretty happy with that video. Ross did an incredible job making those actions possible. He continues to advocate on the subject even now.
Like, I'm not a fan of the state, you know, but you gotta play the game, maybe.
And the feedback was excellent overall, but that's not where the story ends. No. That's just the beginning. See, over the years, here and there, I've had people react to the videos that I post. I love when that happens. It's fun for me to see their opinions. I get exposure to a new audience, and it makes me think about things differently at times, once in a while. I love it. I really do. However, the reaction to this particular video caused a bit of a problem. Asmongold, my sympathies to him here, the level of bullshit he has to deal with from people online is legitimately completely absurd. Asmongold decided to react to that video, subsequently kicking off one of the most obvious examples I've ever seen of people being brain dead. And here's why. Ross's original call to action was titled "The Largest Campaign Ever to Stop Publishers Destroying Games." My take on it was called "They're Destroying Your Games, Don't Let Them." In hindsight, I suppose I could have said "Publishers are destroying your games, don't let them," but it didn't seem quite as snappy.
Oh yeah, I've seen some of the related stuff here. This is gonna be a doozy.
I clickbaited a tiny bit on that, the ambiguity of "they."
I don't feel ashamed for having a clickbaity title. Come on.
He felt like it might get more people to watch so they could find out who I'm talking about. And Asmongold's video after that was just "They're destroying our games." I should add here, this is very important, that within the first 23 seconds of the video, I precisely clarified that I'm talking about publishers. The video had nothing to do with current political controversies.
Hey, maybe it's not just publishers though, right? I mean, anyways, nice he's specifying, because publishers are probably the most important element of this, and so you can go from there and be like, okay, so why would publishers do this, right? So it's like, yeah, they have reasons for acting in the way they do, which are mostly moneyed, right? They probably want to make money with their new games. But so any number of people can jump on any number of bandwagons, so anyway.
and that this was a literal usage of the word destruction, not some sort of overinflated exaggeration. Sure, the title was grabby, but I don't make people wait till the end or leave them wondering what it is they're even watching. I tell them straight up.
I mean, if we're busy arguing with each other about publishers, well, the state kind of goes into the background, potentially. Now, maybe not with this campaign, because they specifically were trying to get a state intervention here. So if you got money, you can jump on causes that you either unironically believe in, that still serve you because they don't trigger you in all the ways that would trigger you if you have some vested interest in how the things currently go, or for more cynical reasons you might jump on some cause. But anyway.
Right away, and I make it clear, which happened in the first, again, 23 seconds. But not only that, Asmongold's reaction video included that very same clarity also in the first 23 seconds.
Yeah, of course.
If you watched either of these videos,
he does properly react to videos, yes.
For less than half a minute, you would know exactly who they are, and far more importantly, you would know that none of this had a single thing to do with modern politics. None at all.
I mean, define modern politics. Is it an effort to downplay the role of the state in favor of cultural battles, which aren't actually silly in a way, because there's something to them, but then if you don't play up the role of the state in them to the extent that's needed to offset the tribalistic tendencies, then you might be doing a disservice to your thing, right? Like, you have to get the state involved one way or another, right? And so if you have a thing that naturally gets people to look somewhere else, it's not the state, well, you have an uphill battle there with the cause you got going, right? So, and yeah, it's hard to make the state do what you want, right? But it's still important when the state is going to be implicated one way or another, be it by a lack of action on something that you care about, and so nothing gets done.
Because it's all about the functionality of video games. It sounds straightforward, right? Watch a video for under 30 seconds and you'll know what it's generally about. Easy. Even if you don't know the full scope of what it contains in a more detailed way. That's not too much to expect, right? Wrong. Apparently that's way more than can be expected from people these days, because after that video goes live, Asmongold's reaction, which had a truncated version of my title, which itself had a slightly truncated and more ambiguous version of Ross's title, the circus got started. Here's an example of a Reddit thread with 4.7 thousand upvotes. If you don't know,
you're gonna get a circus one way or another, good sir.
How Reddit works, that means 4.7 thousand.
But so this is a good thing to talk about, right? I like that he's making this video. Don't think just because your title is unmistakably about what you want it to be about, there's not gonna be some way to spin it in the most egregious way that's gonna get everyone mad. And so I think the point is you want to get your name out there as a content creator and make good videos that help progress the conversation. And yeah, there's going to be people like that. You're going to like make a circus out of it. Yeah, I mean, it's not like you owe them your attention in particular, right? I'm all for listening to criticism, but then, you know.
People amplified this beyond the number that downvoted it for being completely wrong, which popped up, even rising as high as one of the most popular posts from the entire week, where the person snarkily asks, "Are they in the room with us right now?" The tagline matters because it indicates that the person making the post thinks this is somehow political, and then thousands of people jump on board, dogpiling Asmongold as some sort of idiot who has the wrong politics and it's different than them. But even further, the mods of this particular subreddit start banning people who try to clarify that no, that's wrong, and if you spent just 23 seconds of time listening, you would hear it laid out perfectly. Now, I know what you're thinking. Reddit is a ridiculous place with ridiculous people who very often congregate together.
It's not, I have nothing but love for some subreddits, but so it's really on a case-by-case basis.
And say ridiculous.
And hey, of course, like, who do you think pays for a Reddit moderator's income? Well, besides their parents. Well,
things at times. But no, this isn't the only example. It's one example of many.
I'm saying this is an easy landscape to exert influence on. You could play on these people's narcissism or vanity or whatever, right? And then they're gonna have certain lines, and it's like, you can work with that, right? So I'm just saying, of course, this would get astroturfed and whatnot in various ways to keep the controversy spinning and flowing, right? I mean, it's not a big task to achieve if you have any inclination to do that, I think, and a bit of resource. And I mean, we know a lot of people have a lot of resource. It doesn't mean everyone gets paid off by everyone. No, it means if you have a community that's easy to skew one way or another, somebody's gonna get paid probably to play with people's vanities and hubris and whatnot, and so they do what you want them to do, right? So you always have some plausible deniability, and then of course people get paid for stirring up stuff, right? I mean, of course. I'm not saying it's like the biggest problem ever, but it's part of the terrain. Like, just deal with it. Like, okay, so people get mad on Reddit. It's like, of course, doesn't matter. You gotta listen to serious thinkers on the internet. By the way, experts have all kinds of blogs and YouTube channels nowadays. You can listen to people who actually are worth their salt. It's not hard.
And it's actually the smallest example. Jumping over to Twitter, there is a viral post with over 1 million views and counting and 30,000 likes saying the exact same thing. Further down, the initial poster even admits, quote, "Oh, so the they is actually in the room with us. Hope he is clear enough with his audience about it so people don't wink it off like we know what you really mean," end quote. This is a viral post with hundreds of comments degrading, insulting, or
this is also going off the rails because there's something to it, right? I mean, Andrew Yang was talking about them, right? He was talking about them when he was talking about incentives. Ooh.
Meaning Asmongold over things.
But so, upper echelon, I understand that he's not happy with this because he's like, oh, this is so not political. Like, but it is. You want to invoke the state for something, right? So it is political.
Things that they literally just made up in their own head. They think he must have said horrible things because
he wants to get stuff done to make gaming more fun for everyone, right? I mean, it's pretty obvious, but anyway.
The title made their brain think, he disagrees with my politics, and the resulting display of headline news culture is about as embarrassing as it can possibly get.
Sure.
But wait, there's more. See, these are people that disagree with Asmongold or have predisposed negative opinions of him. These are very weak people, in my opinion, with very low critical thinking skills, who jump to conclusions because they're determined to be outraged over whatever they possibly can, even so far as to just manufacture things in their own head. But that's not the only type of person who engages in this type of idiocy. This is Mark Kern, aka Grums. Grums has been very aggressively leaning into the whole Gamergate 2 type situation where DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, are under scrutiny right now, and he's been utilizing that wave of publicity to amplify his own projects and ride the social wave as far as he possibly can. Grums is about as far away as you can get from the previous examples, but let me expand on that just a little bit for people who don't fully understand. The person who posted the viral Twitter thread, whose screen name is Terminally Online Leftist, the one that didn't even listen to the first 23 seconds of audio, which would have informed them quite easily that their entire presumptive premise was completely wrong, has a YouTube channel where they've posted multiple different pieces of content defending a company called Sweet Baby Incorporated and debunking misinformation, which is pretty straightforward. Inversely, Grums, or Mark Kern, has been relentlessly criticizing Sweet Baby Incorporated, as well as other community managers and game dev companies, among many other individuals, very often saying things that go on to be regarded as controversial, where people complain or try to debunk them, and the cycle continues. People like Grums decide to say things, people like Terminally Online Leftist disagree with them, and vice versa, that also happens. Around and around it goes. Simple stuff. Well, Terminally Online Leftist, without watching even 23 seconds of content to know that they are totally and completely wrong, makes a post which goes viral because all the other brain-dead morons who never read past the headline decide to smash the like button. But Grums, the complete opposite side of the political spectrum here, decided to make a thread, a very long thread, mind you, and pin it to the top of his profile, which is based on the very same false premise. His thread is completely about DEI in games and ESG scores and other politically motivated topics, with Asmongold's face plastered to the top of it, when that wasn't even the subject of the video because he saw his opponent completely getting the facts wrong, since they can't even watch 23 seconds.
That's a somewhat paranoid streak sometimes on every side of every issue, so it is what it is, as they say.
Of content to verify anything, and then turned around using the...
And see, for me, it's like, I don't necessarily care if it's about the DEI and whatnot. I care about pointing out what DEI is hiding anyway. What this controversy, this outrage is hiding, which is the role of the state in all of this. Not about the DEI. Even if it's about the DEI, if people only get the money because they sell the companies a good look. That's why they went into this in the first place. Because, yeah, this seems like something people care about. And it kind of is. It's just, when it's big companies doing it for very self-serving reasons, it's a problem, as it doesn't get stuff done, even the stuff it proclaims to get done, right? And it takes away from the important role of the state. So in a way, upper echelon here, you know, he's also part of the circus in a way, isn't he? Because he clearly wants the state to do stuff, and he doesn't understand the DEI people. Well, they are in the game to stop you without knowing it. Because the big companies want to be able to do what they want to do. They want to make the good social progress. They want to provide the best games, and you want to make the state stop them from providing the best games for their bottom line, right? And company want to make the state seem small so company can get less regulated. It's very obvious. Publishers, yeah. So upper echelon, he's got a point to hold the feet to the fire, so to speak, the metaphoric feet to the fire of the big corporations. But so this is all part of a process of companies trying to get out of that, one way or another. And hey, I'm not saying they aren't sincere when they want to make the world a better place with DEI, but so there's multiple purposes going on here that are being, some is pursued consciously, some is unconsciously.
Exact same thing that his opponent failed to understand, as if it supports the point he's trying to make, because these people are so lazy and shallow, they can't even be bothered to spend 23 seconds of their time, not a single one of them, checking whether or not their assumptions are right about something. Think about this. Genuinely think about it. A video about publishers destroying video games comes out. Another creator does their own analysis and tries to raise awareness for a quality topic. Another creator after that reacts to it and adds their own opinion. And suddenly, the political brainlets have a meltdown. They don't watch any of it. They just assume, ugh, I don't like him. He must be saying things I disagree with. So they rant about it on social media. Then their opponents jump in, don't even go back to the original source material at all to verify anything, and just pile on board thinking, well, those people hate it, so it must be agreeing with me. When the entire situation from start to finish had nothing to do with politics in the first place. The level of incompetence here is staggering. Two different sides of a polarized and politically opposite discussion took a thing that had nothing to do with either of them.
I gotta stress though, it doesn't mean you can't navigate this, right? I mean, it's a feature, right? I mean,
or the things that they cared about, and then ran with it.
Doesn't mean you shouldn't be sincere and try to be better, and you know, it should be a great opportunity to help out a bit. Imagine how much greater mankind would be if we were a bit more aware of these things and all made videos about it. Of course, there's always risks with having blind spots and so on, but you know, I feel like there's something to be said about more people getting in there making thoughtful videos.
It as fast as they could, because headline culture.
And part of that is also, imagine where these people are in 5 years, right? Like, where are these people going to be in 5 years, right? People maybe got to make their own mistakes, right? So, and then we can be all the wiser.
Is out of control, and none of them are displaying even the most basic level of independent thought. They should all be extremely embarrassed right now and rethink how they interact with the online world, or better yet, just remove themselves from it. Because we're not just talking about being lazy here, we're talking about being mindless, social media browsing.
I wouldn't say that they should leave the internet. I think they should commit more personal resource. Anyone who's actually going out there and making videos about this, I think in 5 years' time, at the longest, they're gonna be in a very different place, one way or another. And so, probably for the better. I don't like when people just do cheap throwaway interactions like, oh, I liked this because it's a one click and now I liked it. And, you know, you can like my video and this video too, but it's like, there's no friction. There's no thought required to put that to like the vid or to like the post or to upload the Reddit thing. It's like this. It's not very thoughtful. So I do tend to emphasize, do leave me a comment, guys and girls and whatnot.
Zombies who present no discernible signs of human intelligence whatsoever or critical thinking.
And yeah, that is the broad mass of people who just wanna get that dopamine hit from hitting that like on the thing that sounds good, right? I mean, just imagine if that's all they do, then they don't really have any impact on anything at all anyway, right? I mean, it's not like I'm not gonna lose sleep over people having a weird threats trend on Reddit about me or whatever. I mean, is that a problem? I don't know. Like, if you don't comment on my YouTube, I don't really know what I'm supposed to make of that.
Do better. That's it. If you want to support the content of someone who does take at least 23 seconds to watch or read the material that he comments on, locals and Patreon are linked down below. Also a VPN affiliate if you want one of those, special deal, and more, but I'll cut it there and stop rambling. As always, thank you all for watching, and have a nice night.
Yeah, that was pretty good. That's a nice giraffe. Do like the vid over at Upper Echelon. We'll link it below. Maybe leave a comment over here, over there, over everywhere. I don't know. Wish you the best out there. Stay safe. Hope we meet again. Have a good one. Meow. Did I tell you to rate, comment, subscribe, and share, and do comment on share? Yeah, share. I like the sharing part too. It's important because you actually gonna tell somebody about this video. Like, you gotta think about what you're doing, right? Anyway, hope you have a good one. Stay safe out there.